Good morning, good evening, good night. Welcome into NFT Live featuring Biggie Poppins back from his gallivanting around the world. It's good to see y'all on the Web3 network today. We're going to cover a lot over the next hour and a half here. Excited to be sitting here again with Biggie Poppins. It's been about 3-4 months, feels like a year since we've seen him last in his humble abode. How are you doing, brother? Oh, look, muted, sir. You're muted right now, sir.
Classic.
Can you work on your audio?
Dude, we can't hear you, bro. We can't hear you, bro.
I can't hear you.
Classic. Yo, what a return. Yo.
It could only be this way.
This is, I feel like, the best metaphor for Web3 right now. It's like we're showing up. We're trying to make it happen, but everything's against us. Everything's against us.
Yeah. Hey, look, this is showbiz. It is his first time back at his humble. So it's just going to be me and Gifted today. Sorry, folks. If you were tuning in to see Biggie Poppins,
what a tease, man. What a tease.
In his WAGMI United shirt, too. That's a strong apparel choice to start. All right, we're going to try to get him back here for the episode. I think we'll end up figuring it out. Prodigy, Choina, Squashman. All right, we've got Biggie back. Let's hope to all hell that this works. Now, keep trying, man. We're waiting for you. Damn, Biggie took his Mandalorian helmet off. Oh yeah, that's true. He's slicked back. Biggie, keep trying. Try the settings for your audio output or input. Sorry. All right, this is what we got for today. Ape DAO under fire. So that was the biggest story over the weekend. Ape Coin DAO is spending a lot of money, a lot of cash that they're burning through. Not that they don't have a ton, but they are spending a ton, specifically on the special counsel. The special counsel took some heat. I believe $20K per month per person, and there's about 5 people on that council. So what could you do with $20K?
Roughly $1 million a year.
What could you do for $20K per month, Gifted? What are you thinking?
I could do a lot with that. Are you kidding right now? Man, I could do so much. Give that to some people who need it.
Oh, I don't know about that take. All right, easy. We'll get into it. I want y'all's take as well. The Ape Coin Special Counsel, again, coming under fire. Coinbase continuing its fight against the SEC. And what NFT? We're going to check out the NFT price floors. We're going to check out the market. And we're going to be waiting for Biggie.
Nifty Q continuing to put my face on all of the most controversial thumbnails.
Now I'm doing it because you called me out.
Great. That's the desired effect. That's what we wanted.
Yeah, exactly. No,
more of the same.
I put myself on, I think the one previous that was negative, I put myself on. So I'm joining you in that fire, sir. Don't make me pull up the channel.
Yeah. Smash the like for Biggie Poppins, who's working overtime trying to figure out how the audio works over here. And also, let's go ahead and just let's tear off the Band-Aid early. Let's get this out there so we don't forget. And that is that it's important for us to remind everybody this is not financial advice, and information was found publicly on the internet. Opinions shared on this episode are solely of the Web3 team. All information is public domain. Please, DYOR, do your own research. We're going to talk about a lot of things, and none of it is financial advice.
We're going to talk about a lot of things, but I don't know.
Please tell me this is working. Damn.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got them.
The headphones are just not it.
Bro, I don't know. They used to work really well. Something must have happened while I was gone.
Oh yeah, a lot happened while you're gone.
It's good to be back with the trio.
Nothing happened while you're gone. Everything's exactly the same.
Dude, I picked a fucking heck of a time to step away. I'm glad I did. At the same time, God damn, it's been cringe, man. It's just been one after another.
You probably chose the best time to step away of almost all the times.
Yeah, that's been said by several people. At the same time, man, I have gotten a little bit of FOMO every now here and there. Missed out on some stuff, but hey, C'est la vie. A shout out to Nox Darkness and Prodigy and Squashman and the whole crew, man. It's really lovely to see all of you. Really good to be back, honestly. I'm looking forward to it. And check out what I came home to. Wagme
We
United.
saw that.
What's up? Wagme.
Hey, well, I believe that now more than ever. Wagme.
Is there a reason why I can't hear Nifty Q? Can you listen to him, Gif? Because I can hear Gif.
No.
I can hear him. Uh-oh.
God damn. Okay, this is not my fault though. This is weird.
Try one. Gif. Tell him one more time if he can hop in and hop back out.
Yeah, hop out one more time and try hopping back in one more time. see if it helps.
Let's do that. Dang it.
All right, Gustavo's in the house calling Ape at 218 down 7%. Yeah, Ape Coin has not held up well. Not to say that any altcoin has. ETH and BTC really holding up well against the wave of FUD that we've gotten over the last week. If you're still here after last week, just a huge pat on the back. You're gonna make it. I promise you. And Biggie saying he's got me. Biggie.
Yeah. Thank God, dude. Finally.
So Biggie, I had one question for you because it's not often that I think that somebody goes through what you're going through in this space. Usually we're like so deep and heads down and on the front lines. Like you've been gone from, quote unquote gone. You've been keeping up. You even showed up on a couple episodes. Was there any point while you were away where you were like, you know what? I kind of like being IRL. I don't want to jump back into the maelstrom that is Web3.
100%, man. 100%. I think it's only natural, and I'm still like reflecting back on it. Like on the way back over here, I was like, man, like how do I wanna play my cards, especially, seeing everything that's going on and it's been crazy, right? Like we've seen like some prominent people, some very active people tap out, sell out, say, I'm done, I'm out of this place. I've, of course, like being IRL and distant, like, I don't know, like it's strange. Like you get these like pangs of FOMO, and at the same time, you're trying to stay as informed as possible, and you're seeing all this shit crumbling down. You're like, I don't even want to look at my bags. I don't want to do anything. All I can say is that coming back, like in the end, I mean, obviously things aren't as rosy as they were before, but I mean, one big lesson for me is that the world doesn't fall apart, like it's all right. Like if you missed out on a couple of mints or what have you, it's all right. if it's all going down, like I've been there before. Like I feel like we're going through this Cambrian kind of extinction, right? Like I think the last time we went through something this freaking crazy was like the Mount Gox debacle, right? And for me, I don't know, when there's trouble up ahead, I'm a rip the Band-Aid kind of person, and rip off the Band-Aid. And this is like, I think that moment, right, that we've all been talking about. Like they're gonna fight us, they're gonna come after us, like all shit's gonna come crumbling down, and we're here now. We are in that maelstrom that you're talking about, Q. And I think we've said it so many times in this channel, but it's survive, and by whatever means necessary. Of course, like I think you come to realize, where you might have positioned yourself a little bit too aggressively, and we all have certain like mistakes we might have made and that we're reflecting on. But in the end, I think the people that make it through this, will get to reap the benefits, right, and stay engaged. And I love that you guys have like kept at it. Same here with the chat. You guys are my homies, and it helps having people like you guys around, just like to hold us through all this shit, right? Because it sure as hell ain't easy, and you can see it in the crypto Twitter and everywhere else. And all I have to say is, by whatever means necessary. I think my intention wasn't necessarily to unplug IRL while everything fell apart. It made it a little bit challenging sometimes to completely unplug because I couldn't look away. But man, in the end, again, coming back and starting to kind of catch up on stuff and get settled in. Yeah, like I do want to keep a certain distance, like maybe not go so full throttle into having that need, right, that we all have, like to just stay informed on every fucking aspect of everything that's going on in the space. When I was gone for 105 days, Q, and I came back and it's like, yeah, shit's happened, but you know, and I'm down on some stuff, of course, but hey, I'm here. Like it's not that bad. It wasn't the end of the world. Like, you know, the feels that you get were way worse than the reality of it, right? And so that's my feedback, getting back from, you know, from all of this.
Yeah, even on a short-term timeline, like 2 weeks, like I haven't left the space, you know, for a 90-day timeline, I think at all ever. But I can't imagine like the amount of like clarity you got from like not being in that hubbub. You know what I mean? Like you're able to see it for what it is, whereas most of us think this is the only thing the world is doing right now. It's very clear, like, oh shit, I was in an insular bubble, basically. So it's good to have you back, man.
Man, it's great to be back. Thank you guys. Missed you a ton.
All right, so there's a lot of questions coming through here about the state of the market. Obviously, we'll get to that SEC and Coinbase news, Binance news here. So we're going to bring up a bunch of different takes. If y'all have any takes, please drop them in chat. Knox is saying, I'm definitely buying the dip on ETH, Matic, Ape Coin, and Pepe. This is when the money gets made.
Yeah, I like, of course, we know nothing here is financial advice. I agree, man. I think this is such a big opportunity. I just don't, all my liquidity is already fucking in everything because mistakes were made with a wallet I control. And yeah, we are where we are.
Oh man,
but I agree. I think Knox is, you know, if you can be DCAing or whatever your strategy is, I mean, shit, unless this really is the end, which I think is a small percentage chance. I mean, it's a non-zero chance, you know, but I think it's a small percentage chance that this is the end. And if it's not the end, which it probably isn't, then yeah, imagine where we could be 1 year, 2 years from here.
Yeah,
probably 10x. You know,
if y'all have any tweet, obviously Twitter's the best place to be in the last week. Obviously, it's where all the stuff goes on. But in the last week or two, I've seen some really hot takes. I love this one from Chris Berniski. Existential doubt about crypto's future in 2023 is the prerequisite for the types of multiples that people will gawk at in a few years. The specifics of doubt change each bear, but the doubt always emerges. Something that's a consensus long by society does not print 10 to 100x. So if you're looking for a bullish take, that is the bullish take. We're not in a situation where the world says blockchain, crypto, all of this stuff is, you know, mass adopted. At that point, the multiples probably go down, right?
And we were at a comparable point back in the Mt. Gox era, right? Obviously, we didn't have the huge regulatory army, you know, staring down at us that we do today, but you know, back then when that happened, it was another Cambrian explosion, right? Like everybody was like, that's it, it's over, it's done for, right? And many people, I think, me included, I jumped in at that point, you know, having missed the initial run up and all that stuff, right? So yeah, I totally agree with that. I think you will see things survive, you know, I mean, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. The tech is sound, and there's a reason why even these regulatory bodies that are coming after crypto, they're trying to extinguish the protocols that are in existence right now, but they definitely want to control it and take over and adopt it for their own means, right? So, you know, I think the argument can be made there is like, one of the things that I'm thinking a lot about right now between like all these coins, and I agree, like I think ETH for sure, Matic, not so sure. But one of the things that I'm really looking at when I'm looking at the tokens right now is like, there's a couple of them that did do things by the book, right? Coinbase style, got approved by the SEC, did the proper IPO. STX comes to mind. As Giff said, this is not financial advice. But, you know, when I'm looking at hedging this regulatory onslaught, one of the things that I'm looking at, aside from ETH and Bitcoin, which to me are, you know, the big boys that are fully decentralized, you know, enough so where they can't really, you know, clamp down on it. It's like, what are these other tokens that, you know, these regulatory bodies will have a very hard time arguing against, right? Because they were approved previously, because they've done things by the book. And so to me, there are a couple out there that are worth tracking. You know, that's one of my approaches when I'm looking at these things.
Yeah, GIF, jump in when you got some.
Well, I'm sharing a couple of things that I think are relevant to this and why, it's likely not the end. And a big part of it is because this is a global phenomenon. Like Biggie says, we all know the genie's out of the bottle from the tech side. And there are people that see the benefit and that are trying to court innovation right now. The UK being a big part of that. Again, I think the term, if I'm getting it right, is financial arbitrage. This is what London has done very well. It's one of the things that has made London a hub over the last 100 years for global currency exchange and Forex. So the Forex, when that popped up, London was basically able to position themselves as a hub for trading currencies. And it seems like that's what they're trying to do again here. And so A16Z is the latest to announce, a big move over to the UK. And this thread, if you go down to the bottom of this thread, this one right here, the UK Prime Minister and policymakers all across both parties see the promise of Web3 and are committed to putting the right regulation and guardrails in place to protect consumers, foster innovation, and allow startups to flourish here. So, it's probably not going away because the US at the end of the day is not the whole world. And there's other places that are, and the other part. So I did drop that tweet from Polygon too, because I think that's their whole take is like, the US is not everything. We don't actually at the end of the day need you to keep doing our thing.
And this is a golden opportunity we're handing over to them, right? Like both England and Hong Kong, who's also like jumped on the bandwagon immediately, right? And liquidity will always find a way. The thought that these guys think that they'll be able to clamp down on this tech the way they've done with like their KYC and AML policies around the world with banks, it's not going to work like that this time around. It is just way too liquid and easy to go from one place to another, and we're seeing it. Even Coinbase is failing, right?
If you're one of those people that looks at over just the news in the last week and is like, I'm leaving the US, I think you should just zoom out a little bit. Just zoom out from a reactionary standpoint, because you sound like the people that tried to leave the US when Trump got elected. Like, that's what it sounds like to me. It's like, bro, this situation is not a death knell in the next 6 months for crypto in the US. It's not. Like, the SEC does not have full, complete control over what happens in this country. There's a lot of stuff happening this week that we'll
they don't have control
over
euro dollars.
It seems like a very reactionary take, which of course, like it's strong FUD. Don't get me wrong. Like, this isn't just like some random ass court in some state that's saying, hey, crypto is illegal and things like this. This is the SEC coming out and attacking Coinbase. But if you sit down and move away from the story, you see that the SEC doesn't essentially have the bark behind this or the bite behind this that they want you to see that they do. That's what it seems like to me. So there's a couple things happening this week. Let me pull this up. And Biggie, you dropped this in our chat as well. And there's been a couple different threads that have been covering essentially the hearings that are going to happen this week. So SEC must respond to Coinbase request for rulemaking by Tuesday. There's going to be a U.S. hearing, I believe. Let's see. U.S. District Court case hears SEC's petition for temporary restraining order on Binance U.S. at 2 p.m. on Tuesday. We also have an internal SEC doc review here that's related to a 2018 speech where he's saying ETH is sufficiently decentralized. This will be unsealed in the SEC versus Ripple case this week. We also have subcommittees on digital assets hearings, comments closing on the SEC exchange definition proposal. So a lot of, quote unquote, clarity could potentially happen this week. But just zoom out, settle down. The SEC isn't this all-controlling being that I think a lot of people, an entity that people are trying to make it out to be. There's a lot of people trying to fight this.
Yeah, agreed. I don't know how much more there's to say about it. A lot of it's just wait and see.
So I don't know if this is a congressman.
This is supposed to be a big week, though, like especially tomorrow, right? You started covering that. Biggie was sharing in our Discord chat all the things that are supposed to happen tomorrow.
Today, I filed the SEC Stabilization Act to restructure the SEC Gov and fire Gary Gensler. So this is I believe, congressman for the 8th District of Ohio here, representative. U.S. capital markets must be protected from a tyrannical chairman, including the current one. That's why I'm introducing legislation to fix the ongoing abuse of power and ensure protection that it is in the best interest of the market for years to come. It's time for real reform and to fire Gary Gensler as chair of the SEC.
Amen.
I mean, yeah, amen to that.
Biggie, did you follow the states like filing towards Coinbase as well? Did you follow that? Like 12 states came out and like had a cease and desist against Coinbase?
Really? No, I did not catch that tidbit.
Yeah. It was a coordinated attack.
Of course. Yeah.
I think that, so my bigger like strategy here for the SEC of what I think is going on is I think that they've been working on this for the last couple of years, and that it's being done in tandem with the Fed and the Fed Now, which is supposed to roll out in July, and that they're trying to weaken and control crypto as much as they can right now, in like getting ready to like set up favorable conditions for what they're doing with the CBDC and trying to do with Fed Now and all that shit.
All right, so Polygon was obviously listed amongst this suit, I guess, against Coinbase and Binance. So
it was delisted by Robinhood with ADA and Sol as well.
What was your take here on the Polygon piece?
Is that for Biggie?
No, you dropped the link here in chat.
Oh, I mean, this is just back to the whole point that this is not US centric, right? I think Squashman over here saying SEC actions are always strong, FUD, but always overblown. The space is global, not US centric. And this seems like this is a big part of Polygon's strategy, is to separate themselves from the US, just like a lot of others, just like A16Z and Coinbase might right now. So yeah, they basically are saying we're very proud of our history of being non-US centric, of being, an international company with an international focus. Feels very much like distancing themselves from the US, which again,
I mean, at this point, the amount of different coins and exchanges and things that they've named and attacked, it's obviously very apparent that they literally just saw, they went into CoinGecko and said, what are the top 10, 20 most prominent coins and exchanges? We're going to go after those, right? Which is usually the approach these entities take, right? Because that's what strikes fear in the hearts of men, right? And, to a certain degree, it's working. To me, more than that, it's very kind of disconcerting to see a country like this shoot itself in the foot repeatedly. I honestly did think that we'd see an about face somewhere around my trip. We started with the USDC DPEG, and then now we're here. USDT is back at all-time highs. It's crazy to watch, but I don't know. Again, nothing's guaranteed in this world, and being in crypto, we should all know that it's a risk, right? And we hopefully applied our risk reward ratios correctly and didn't overextend ourselves. But I like the risk reward. I firmly believe that they're not going to be able to kill everything. They might be able to kill a couple of protocols or NFT projects that did overextend themselves, that didn't allocate their capital correctly or build the right things, but that's fine, right? Like, these purges are necessary, for the next bull cycle. But I'm not worried. It's just I understand how tiring it can be. I can't imagine you guys that have been like completely 100% engaged these past 105 days, how tiring, looking at this stuff constantly, listening to the conversations, the FUD and everything. It's insane. So touch some grass, friends.
Just pulled up an article that says customers will not be able to trade Solana, Cardano, or Polygon using Robinhood effective June 27th. So that's one of the crazier stories I think of this that will probably stick long term. I mean, I think if we see a bull run return, I think that point was made early in the morning show that if we do see a bull return, they'll likely relist these tokens. But right now, what you did was essentially what one set a precedent that other tokens could be delisted and therefore people are going to stay away from them. But Robinhood and other apps that are primarily retail focused could potentially move away. And then the other long-term effect we've already seen with Puma. NFTs are NFTs built on or building on Polygon, NFTs building on Solana that come from these large brands are going to potentially stop as well and have already stopped. So those two, in my opinion, are like hard sticking pieces that I don't see an answer to right off the bat.
It's really powerful FUD because to your point, it's like if tokens are being delisted, like the biggest token, like these are top 10, top 20 tokens. If the biggest tokens are being delisted like this from popular trading platforms, like that just scares everybody, right? Like and not to mention the impacts on liquidity that it has, of like actually just impacting the liquidity in the space and the amount of like buying and selling that's going on. It's like, it just cools off the entire market because everybody says like, oh, well, this is not legit. It's too risky. They can just take this shit off the exchange at any time and shut down access to these tokens. Can't fuck with that.
Yeah. In the meantime, you have projects like Memeland, who are registered in Hong Kong, launching their meme token, and they don't have to fucking respond to shit. They don't have to worry about these things. This is going to come down to bear at some point on this side of the hemisphere, I think. And not just with all of the projects that are building at the moment, but, the governments that are regulating and causing this thing to happen, right? Again, just trying to show you like two sides of the same coin, right? Because they are attacking as much, and they do know how to attack properly, but there are other places in the world that are not sweating this at all. In fact, they're taking their opportunity and it's their moment to shine, and good for them. I'm glad.
Gift, the Memecoin link that you dropped isn't working. But
I'll try it again. I just had to reload it once or twice. But yeah, memecoin.org should work if you try a couple times.
CEO Brian Armstrong.
So I'm going
in a battle with
finishing up on this. The Wall Street Journal sat down with Brian Armstrong last week when this all broke. So I'm going to drop this link for y'all. It's about a 20-minute interview. If y'all want to hear what Brian has to say, that would be a good link to check out. But let's jump into Memecoin.
Oh, here you go. Okay.
He looks like Brian Armstrong right there. Huh?
Yeah, it does actually. Well, real quick, Nox Darkness making some solid comments, killing it over here in the chat, by the way, saying, I still think the SEC is way overestimating their own importance and influence. Squashman also saying, we know all big brands and projects building on Polygon, but these brands are also international. Is it possible that they restrict US customers but continue to allow global customers to participate? That could be one way that it goes, right? But that's not an ideal situation. You know what I mean? That's not good. Like, again, that still affects the brand's ability to build on the platform. It makes everything way more difficult. So I don't know that that's a good solution, but it might be the way forward for some of them.
We've seen that with Ape Coin staking too, right? The people that are gonna launch a product are going to say, hey, we're not going to release anything to U.S. citizens, which
there is a precedent for that. And then everybody just VPNs their way into it anyway.
That's what I was going to say.
I mean, what?
There's always a way, right?
Yeah. Anyway, if you want to pull a Memecoin, we can talk about that. This has been gaining a lot of traction over the last few days as they have opened up an allow list for Memecoin that you have to get a code for. So right now it's very much like a growth hack situation where potatoes and captains holders get airdropped codes and they onboard their friends and like it creates hype because everybody's trying to get on it. I was able to source one from Twitter. Somebody was nice enough to hook me up with one, so I'm on the allow list. What I think is most interesting about this is we were talking about on GM Web3 how there's really not that many successful tokens attached to big NFTs or NFT ecosystems. Ape Coin is pretty much the only one that's been like a top 50 coin or so. There's been some others that we discussed, like I think you brought up Milk Token and Bananas for Cyberkongs, but none of those, and those I think are primarily meant to be utility tokens, and they're not really supposed to be super valuable, or at least that's how they position it, right? To try and keep it away from a security, I'm sure.
Yes.
But the point is, there's just not that many big, hugely successful, valuable tokens coming out of NFT projects yet, other than, again, like maybe Ape Coin. I am looking at Memecoin as potentially the next one. Like, I think Memecoin has a chance to be a top 50 token because of how big this project has been getting, how many supporters there are in the Asian market, how much hype is around this coin, and the way that they're positioning it, which it sounds very much like it's meant to kind of power a DAO and what they call social fi, which I guess social finance. It's again like social and
like social
activations,
tokens,
social initiatives. Yeah, sounds like a DAO to me. But either way, the point is there's definitely a lot of interest and hype around it, and I think that there is a big enough ecosystem and a lot of support that this might be the next biggest NFT token. So I think it's interesting, something to watch.
And not least of all, because it does not have to sweat the regulatory scrutiny that many other tokens are having to go through right now, right? I think that's a very important thing. I think the way they structured, where they chose, you see, all these little things eventually come to bear, right? Like where you choose to incorporate your company, where you choose to operate out of. And I think, I don't think this is just a matter of luck. I do think this was very thoroughly thought out, and people that were able to see, where these things were going here in the state, advise these people to say, do not, for any reason, incorporate in the United States, which is sad. But, here you have it, right? Like this company is going to be able to operate and experiment with this new token that they're launching without the hassle of having to worry or answer to the SEC or any regulatory bodies. How beautiful is that?
I think to what Biggie's talking about is I believe they're based in Hong Kong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so in theory, to your point, I believe that means that they will be able to conduct business how they want. But the challenge then I think would be for us as US consumers, maybe restricted in access or how we can use it potentially, but at least it doesn't stop them, right, from operating.
Plenty of people get codes
that. Yeah. Hong Kong probably doesn't care about trying to appease the SEC, whereas like maybe more moderate countries would take that route.
Also, it's not like it's like traditional bank, right? Like traditional banks do have an issue of accepting or opening accounts for U.S. citizens for that very reason, right? Because the world operates under the KYC AML US rules. And so if you're a US citizen opening a bank account anywhere else in the world, it's your duty to report it. And it's a lot of fucking paperwork for the banks to go through, and they don't need that shit, right? And so they just prefer to completely deny US citizens, unless you're like a high net worth individual, right? And you're willing to go through the paperwork for those reasons. But, this is crypto, bro. So...
Yeah, Prodigy saying how much am I into this? None of this financial advice. I'm just on the allow list, and to be honest, I don't even know what kind of liquidity I'm gonna have to get into it at this point. So I'm like sitting around like, I have no idea how much I'm gonna get into it. I am not selling my turbo because I still think it has potential to like 10x at some point, and I'm just fucking hodling. Who knows? Maybe it goes to fucking zero, and I'm just biting. Yeah, I'm just fucked on turbo. I don't know, but I still think it has a lot of potential to go somewhere, and I'm hopeful.
Talk about watching some craziness. This whole meme coin season that happened while I was away. What the hell?
Yeah, and also this is what space smells like. Asking what's up with the Moonbirds hat. What's going on with that?
It's back there. It needs a little bit of cleaning. It got a little dirty. So,
are we talking about the Moonbirds or the hat?
It's on the back burner.
The hair, but we're still strong on proof in the Moonbirds. Not to worry.
Shit. Hold on. Last thing before we get to this proof and Moonbirds piece. This is definitely a case of like Do you want to be right? Do you want to make money? I hate the messaging around this. Meme coin is literally a meme coin. No utility, no roadmap, no promises, no expectation of financial return, just 100% memes. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I could not tell you how much I hate this narrative of token. That being said, people are probably going to make a ton of money on it. So more power to you.
And that's fair. I feel like it's going to be a juggernaut and hard to stop. But anyway, Biggie, on the Moonbirds convo, I'm officially part of the ecosystem in some small way now.
No fucking way.
I got at least one. Yeah, I got one oddity. That's in the Nifty Castle wallet.
Now I have a question for you. Are you planning on burning that beautiful fella there, or?
Yeah, well, I think so. Isn't that the move to get a mythic? Isn't that?
If you like Gremlin art, you could keep it. But yeah, there's a big discussion going on in the Discord. I don't know if you've joined it yet, but to burn or not to burn, I'm going through that question myself. I have a couple of those, and it's hard to let go of them. I find them really cool. So
I think the mythics and that art is. Look, I get that Gremlin is a whole thing, but as everybody on this show that's watched the show knows, most pixel art is not my get down. So I'm probably gonna burn it.
Nice.
No shade to Gremlin and his fans out there, but I think that the mythics have more IP.
Man, welcome to the
potential.
ecosystem. I'm glad you took the leap, GIF. I don't think you'll regret it. I know we
was trying to get more.
Some insane FUD this whole time I've been gone.
The floor's been holding just above 0.2. I wanted to get more. I haven't gotten any more yet, but yeah,
you might get another shot, right? Like, this place is so unpredictable, and if history, is any indication, I'm sure somebody somewhere will find some other thing to FUD about proof, and maybe floor price will go down. So
I want to know.
You might get another chance.
I want to know how many people are actually still buying NFTs, because I was buying NFTs over the weekend. I'm fucking that crazy right now. I want to know, like, Biggie, are you still buying NFTs? I want to know in the chat, are you still buying NFTs? If so, what are you buying? Like, what?
Bro, I stopped somewhere around my trip, like around right before meme season and all that stuff happened. It's like I did my last kind of like degen play. And I was like, enough, man. Like, I can't even keep track of this. Why am I pretending to fucking follow this? Like, I'm not going to be flipping. It's just like, let it be, leave it be. And, it's been rough. It's been hard, especially with the freaking meme coins and all that stuff, which I did partake in a couple, and it was fun. But, honestly, at this point in time, I feel no guilt whatsoever in letting shit skip. I got offered a couple of like codes for meme token, and I was like, fuck that, I'm done. Like, whatever. I would much rather, like, whatever liquidity I do have, I'll play my cards when I see a proper reversal, and if I have to pay a little more by that time, so be it. But I'm at this moment in time, I feel nothing, I'm just content watching looking at the space and seeing who's building and keeping, like, focusing on that, right? Like, who's really in this to win, which, you're seeing a lot of things drop like flies. So that's my play right now, GIF. Unless it's like a free plane.
We had max like dumping happening on tokens, like fungible tokens. So I think like the better play is probably to pick up a Matic at this price to pick up these altcoins that are severely, I wouldn't call them underwater, but they're under max FUD. So I think those pay out a little bit on the risk reward scale, not financial.
100%.
The other piece, Biggie, like the underrated story here is Mark that we had on in February, right before he bounced, and then Ordinals taking the fuck off after that.
Dude,
that was...
we need to get him back. We need to get him back, man.
We should.
So, yeah,
let's bring him back.
We will, for sure. I'll reach out to him. I know, man. Ordinals has been like a trip to watch. I'm bullish on them, man. I mean, how can it's very odd to me that people would try to FUD it, because it's like, dude, it's Bitcoin NFTs. Why?
Yeah.
Like, why does that not work? Having said that, it's just way too much shit launching that I'm just like, I'm staying away at the moment.
That's the thing right now, is that it's like the new hype and the new meta, and there's so many people that are literally just ripping off projects and like reminting other people's art without permission, and that's sketchy as fuck, because it's basically just fraud. You know
And
what I
you know
mean?
what,
It's like,
you know what like halts me a lot from like playing with ordinals is that, like, to me, like they're like, I love they call them inscriptions, because that's kind of what they are, right?
Mhm.
It's like going and tagging a wall, or like putting it up. And like, I
yeah,
think for art like something like art blocks, and there's people doing some really cool stuff in that regard, it works out. But if you're talking about like PFPs or like Web3 stuff, not too sure it works out, right? Like for me, that's where I'm more bullish on a protocol like Stacks, which is built on top of the Bitcoin layer, but it's meant to be like Matic, like something like that, like a layer two, where it has all those smart contract, capabilities, and it's not costly to transact, because we've seen a lot of people like even just lose their ordinals, right?
Mhm.
That that part to me feels tedious and rough around the edges. Like I'm sure there'll be better solutions, and maybe like when we get Mark in, he can like clarify some of these things. But you know, for me, this just makes me way more bullish on the Stacks ecosystem down the line, that can take up and pick up a lot of this slack that people right now, I feel, because they're just too busy degenning into shit and flipping it, don't realize, right? That it's just like, okay, you're inscribing something on a BTC, and it's like, I hope it's a nice piece of art, because if you're thinking about like a community or Web3 or shit, it's like not gonna work.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
been the biggest blind spot for me, is figuring out. So people are saying like you can attach, and I use that term roughly. Like I know I'm in the weeds right now, but like attach a smart contract, or like have them work in some type of smart contract way on the second layer. And I'm like, I need to hear that. Like I need to know what that actually means, because if you can do that, that's one, that's really dope, but it also feels like, I mean, like I saw a argument that it could replace Ethereum, in the sense that if you can have some sort of smart contract situation set up, why wouldn't you want to have NFTs work on top of the Bitcoin blockchain, even if it's on a layer two, right? But I don't understand that technical process of having ordinals or having these inscriptions be a part of a smart contract. So I know that sounds like I don't know what the hell it is, because I don't. I don't know what they mean by that.
no, we need to get Mark over here to clarify some of these fine points for us. And I'm sure like there's, there's very smart people on that ecosystem working day and night. Yeah, the only thing that bugs me is that there's still a lot of this infighting, right? About like, keeping the purists, keeping Bitcoin as Bitcoin, and whether it should have smart contract capabilities. I'm somewhere in the middle, where I do think that they should have smart contract capabilities. I'm just not 100% sold that it should be via the ordinals infrastructure, right? Which, like I said, feels kind of rough to me at this point. Could be wrong down the line.
I like thinking of it in terms of like differentiating different value propositions, and thinking of Bitcoin as sort of like the super high end Louvre museum for really, really important shit. And then, there's like Ethereum, and then there's like layer two, and it's kind of like, and again, I think the gods did this really well. Like, I think they have like some gods, like a few minted to Bitcoin that are like super special. Then they've got the gods on Ethereum. Then they've got Utes on Polygon. So it's like they have this very clear value hierarchy. That's what I like about it, is thinking of it as like, the super, super high end museum-esque place. But I don't know. That's just like my own personal take on it, I guess, that I've seen some people doing. I think Oni, again, is also doing that type of move. But Flubber over here, Flubberuni, saying, I have significantly tuned down my NFT buying. Prodigy saying, we have fallen far. 4 months ago, we were aping into every single drop. I'm still aping into some dumb shit. Don't worry, Prodigy.
Oh, Peter Schiff talking to Ordinals. Oh my God.
I
Please
did
no.
see a story
Please
about
no.
that.
Please no.
He
When
was actually in
fucking
favor of Ordinals, which blows my mind. Like
yeah, didn't he lose his keys to like a bunch of Bitcoin when he initially got onboarded?
I have
Ah,
no
the
That
idea.
man
guy.
needs help. He should just
Like,
stick to what he knows. He's a little too old. Sorry.
I've been seeing him. I've
Sorry,
been seeing
Gramps.
him FUD crypto forever. That's why I'm just like, this guy has no credibility in my book.
He's got to be like
Um,
80 at this point too. Not sure what he's aging into. Like, hey, real quick, I gotta do a quick show announcement. So we do have the Wild Wild Web episode with Harry Liu coming out tomorrow. So we touched on Harry's work with Forge and Animoca Brands. So that episode is actually coming out tomorrow. That is going to be those sit down style interview podcasts. And Harry's just on top of the ball when it comes to Asian markets, when it comes to Yuga Labs
Oh,
specifically.
nice.
He's always putting out threads on this stuff, and he was a really interesting guest to have on the podcast because of his knowledge about Asia. So I asked him about Meme Land. I asked him about there have been a couple influencers over there that have like worn CryptoPunks dresses or like had some IP that they've been pushing. So I got in the weeds with him on that as well as the other side. I know people have their takes on whether the other side's going to be successful, and Harry certainly did as well. So we're doing that. Also, if you are here on the show right now, we do these episodes every day at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. This is going to be the link for the day. I will post that if you guys can go to that and reply or like. We'd appreciate any engagement on those so we can get the word out about NFT Live. Yeah, Ape DAO under fire is the main topic we'll get to in, I would say, like the next 10 to 15 minutes. We'll definitely touch on everything happening with the special counsel, but we've still got a little ways to go before we get to that topic if you're here for that. So that is it. Oh, also, not financial advice. Do not take anything we say here as financial or legal advice and then spend money on digital PFPs.
You should know better. Buying JPEGs on crypto. Come on.
Who does
What
that?
kind of degen does that shit?
Yeah, who would have been buying goofies and danks over the weekend? Who would have done that?
Marty McFly saying all the Asian market talk is just disguised hopium.
No, Marty. Fucking
Wow.
no. Marty, you need to get on a plane and get boots on the ground.
That's fair.
And just fucking really speak to some people over there. And you'll quickly realize that it's like a volcano just waiting to erupt. And I don't know, it feels like it won't be long before you'll get a proper explosion, Marty. So
hey, shout out to NFT Go. They are the sponsor on this month's episodes of NFT Live. We appreciate them so much. Yeah, everyone's kind of like dodging the banner here. We definitely love using their platform for analytics. We show them every day here on the NFT Go Bag Check. So let's get into a little bit of that.
Bag check.
Somehow the barometer is on 31. I need to look at the algo on that because it was sitting at 20 I think on the Thursday episode, and now is at 31. So we've increased. The blue chip index against ETH has decreased, and I'm certain that doesn't look good against USD as well. So blue chips are down over the last week. If we zoom out to 30 days, probably takes us to, all right, we've round tripped. We've round tripped on the month, ladies and gentlemen, against USD. We've round tripped on ETH. So all those May gains that we had on the blue chips are back to those 30-day levels. All right, 7 days against ETH on the market cap and volume. Market cap has consistently gone down over the past week against USD and ETH. So that is not looking good either. And then we'll go into the collection distribution. I also can't wait for the days that these look ridiculously awesome on the market cap and blue chip index side. Isn't it going to be great? Like we've only done NFT Go bag checks in a bear. So I think that's.
I know, dude.
Really?
It hurts. It hurts every time.
We're like, 30-day profit and loss. Everyone's in the red. Got it.
It hurts so good.
All right, over the past 7 days, Bored Ape Yacht Club, Mutant Ape Yacht Club, Azuki's, Wrapped CryptoPunks, Captains, Beans, O'Peppin, DeGods, Milady, and Sproto Gremlins. Me and Gif actually we're looking at a little bit of the blur lending collections that were live, and I think I don't know if Sproto Gremlins were there, but it was the offshoot of Miladies. It was the Remilio babies that were listed, which kind of put them, I think,
that makes sense.
In that volume collection distribution.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense for why they kept popping up, and we're like, why the fuck are these things continuing to trend on volume? It's because of they're enabled on the blur lending. By the way, I went and started trying to play around with like the loan and blend stuff on Blur just to see. It's not very user friendly yet. Like it's pretty confusing.
It's for traders
still. Yeah, it's like very advanced, and that's why, like, man, if you're out there figuring out how to make that work, good for you. You should come on and give us a tutorial on like how you're making it work for you. Because like I look at it and I'm just kind of like, oof, this looks like a good way for me to lose my ass.
Yes, exactly. Stay away, folks. If you don't know how to use leverage, just stay away.
All right, so top collections here over the last 24 hours: Bored Apes, Azuki, Mutant Apes, Rap CryptoPunks, Art Blocks, The Gods, Punks, Miladies, Captains, and Pudgy Penguins coming in at 10. If we look at the marketplaces real quick, those usually don't have much change, but you can see the volume at least over the last 24 hours. Let's zoom out to, Blur. That's probably the most dominance I've seen on the Blur side for a long time. And then on the trader side, OpenSea usually wins out, and you can see that is a lot of dominance for them on the actual trader and user side. So that's the most dominance I've seen from either on both of these categories. And that'll do it for the NFT Go Bag Check. Thank you guys for tuning in to NFT Live. Appreciate you.
Beautiful.
Smash the like. Biggie, I was gonna say, since we basically haven't talked to you since what, like January, February? I don't know. You've been gone a minute.
It was April.
Really?
I still got on a show in April while I was still in Bali. It
feels a lot longer. Anyway, the point is,
it does.
from back at the beginning of 2023, when you were here and we were doing a whole lot of degenning, and the open editions and the burn mechanics and all that stuff was kind of the meta back then. One of the shining stars to come out of that has been Jack Butcher.
Yeah.
Did you hold onto any Jack Butcher NFTs? Are you still following any of those projects?
No, I follow him. I follow the projects. No, I completely missed the Jack Butcher whole thing, and sucks. But at the same time, I respect him deeply. I've been a fan of his before he even got into crypto for his visualized value content that he used to make. He's a really smart individual, and I love what he's doing. I mean, there's just, you cannot FUD Jack Butcher. I think his stuff is super innovative, and I heard you in the other space, the Web3 space, calling him an artist, and I'm like, man, that's kind of like, it's not like that it's a disservice or that he's not an artist. He's obviously a very creative, artistic person, but it's like he's carved out his own special lane or niche there, right? Where it's like he's not like an artist in like the way Tyler Hobbs or Snowfro is. And at the same time, he's not just a content creator, but more like a philosopher, social media attention philosopher. But it's one thing is just very apparent is that he really grabbed on to the tech, really understands the tech, and it's just great at experimenting with it and pointing out different aspects of it that a lot of people weren't cognizant of, right? Like the ability to change the metadata on NFTs and stuff like that. I think he's great. He's brilliant, and I love tracking his work and see what he comes up with. But no, I don't own anything of his yet. Maybe I'll get an opportunity. We'll see what happens, man. I know you were like big on checks and POPPINS. Like you did get onboarded pretty early.
Yeah, I had a check that I flipped, and I had about 5 POPPINS that I flipped, and I did pretty well. But even like I should have held on to them longer. Now I've got a giant bag full of merge, and I even picked up the meals, 100 meals, because those are two other big collections of his that are from the visualized value collections that are very cheap right now. And I don't know. My hope is that at some point he pivots from OPEPN to like Merge or like one of these other and starts developing and playing with that. I don't know though. I don't know if he's talked about that anywhere, but I'm really liking this stuff that you're showing Nifty Q about like what's so unique about him and Biggie the way that you were kind of describing him. I'm surprised that you knew of Jack Butcher before he really got into Web3 and still.
Dude, I was in his Discord.
I didn't know him.
I was in his Discord, and obviously I got Discord fatigue, so I just bail on. I refuse to have more than 100 Discords and pay for Discord, so I'm constantly taking shit out all the time. And so obviously that's one of the ones that took a hit. And maybe if I would have stayed, I would have found out about checks earlier and I would have, pulled the trigger. But man, again, I think like a key to this space is to not, succumb to the FOMO, right? Like to just be cognizant of the fact that it's still early. And I know people like to use that cliche, but there's more things coming down the line, right? And you cannot get them all, and it's cool if you don't, and if your homies do, you should be happy for them. It's a practice. I think that you just have to constantly like remind yourself and enact in your life, and it's cool. Like I'm surprised too, dude. But it's one of those that I missed, and so be it.
The thing that I'll say about it and why I think he's now one of the biggest NFT artists in the world, and I'm super bullish on him moving forward, is because of what you said, Biggie, that like he understands the technology, and NFTs are technology, and this whole NFT world is art and technology coming together. So it's like, yes, you can do well as just an artist. You can just tokenize traditional art or paintings or just do digital paintings, and you can do well like that. But the artists that are really making the most out of the potential here are the ones that really grasp programming, grasp technology, how to use tokenization and economics of like tokenomics in really unique experimental ways, and then tie that in with design and art, philosophy, and all this stuff. And he fucking gets it. To your point, he understands it. He's carved out a whole niche, and he's experimenting with the technology and the art in really unique ways. And that's why I'm like, dude, when you find a talented artist who also has such a strong understanding of how to use the technology in innovative ways, the sky's the fucking limit for this guy, and he's showing that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not like he's a programmer, right? Like when we say he understands the tech, is that he understands enough about the tech, and he's not an artist per se. He's just a very creative person, but he understands these two worlds and social media well enough to be able to experiment with them, like, and really use the canvas in novel ways. I think that's what you were trying to get to, right, Gif? Where it's like, when these tech comes, like, and it's valid, right? Like if you're a photographer and you're really talented and you put up like, that's valid use, create an NFT, right? But it's still a very traditional, one-way unidirectional like way of using this technology, where this is a lot more interactive, and the stuff that the way he's approaching it and applying it, you can tell that he really likes to tinker with the tech and understands it enough to come up with new innovations. And that's what this space needs, right? It's like, we need all of them, traditional artists, straight up programmers. But in the end, I think the people and the things that you're going to see really blow up for the next cycle are people that are able to really harness like all of these different angles, right? And create something novel. And I like going back to like the ordinal stuff that we were talking about earlier. I think that's kind of where we're going through right now, right? Like we found out we can inscribe shit on Bitcoin, and now you have a bunch of fucking taggers just spray painting the shit out of fucking Bitcoin with crappy art. Like you said, most of it is just crappy. But at some point, the tech will catch up, the art will catch up, and somebody out there, I am confident, will come up and create something very unique to that ecosystem that will really grab the attention and the idea of that, right? Its proposal.
Yeah, yeah, and like part of what you're talking about that he does well, that he integrates, is the community engagement, like into
Yeah.
the experiment, the way that he does that. But anyway, all right, we don't have to spend more time on Jack Butcher. I'm fascinated because I literally think that he is in the Tyler Hobbs, Beeple, Snowfro camp at this point. I just think he's one of the biggest artists to watch. Happy birthday, Fidenzas.
212 ETH on a Fidenza over the weekend as well. We got a couple more stories till we get to the Ape Coin piece.
Since
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry. This is you're on Art Blocks real quick. Because like one of the things like that I got the most FOMO of while I was gone, I have to confess this to you too, is I missed ETH Denver and I missed the consensus in Austin, and you guys threw like really cool events I heard, and I got to miss them. So I'm curious, is there anything planned down the line? And specifically,
Keep
are you
talking about
gonna be
Marfa.
exactly? Are you going to be in Marfa? That's the question. And it's a question for the crew in the chat. Like, who is thinking about making it out to Marfa? There's good, there's great barbecue, good times. It doesn't have to all be DGen NFTs.
What's the date on the Marfa event that you're planning on going
I
to?
believe it's September 21st to 23rd, something along those lines. Don't quote me on it. I need to go back and check on it. But, you know, I know that people are kind of like bummed and say, oh, well, there's no more space, you know, but people keep dropping out, you know, the plans change and everything. So you should definitely keep your eye out. You know, I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunities to snag a place to stay. And, you know, as you know, I'm a big fan. I'm really looking forward to it this year.
How much does it cost to rent like a sleeper van, you know?
Man, it's not cheap because it's so small, and then like those sleeper vans, like they look dilapidated and shitty on the outside, but like they pimp them out on the inside. And you know, it's one of those things that Martha's been going through last time that we were there. It's like a lot of people are buying properties and renovating stuff, and so like the locals are having a hard time hanging on to their properties, or if you're renting, like some of them are having to go to the town, you know, next because they can't afford the rent, and everything's getting bought out, you know, for Airbnb because it's drawing in a lot of crowds.
Yeah.
He said that, I mean, I don't know, I want to say $200 and you know, 100. You won't get it below $150, I don't think, a camper van. But then, like, you know, I do think like it's worth it to look at like the towns nearby. Like Terlingua is dope. They have like really cool like yurts and camp like you know, type of setups that you can do with like stargazing, and it's only like a 30-minute drive away from Marfa, so you can still stay nearby, go have a good time and everything, and then go back and sleep, because that's really what you're going to use the place for, right?
September 21st. I could get on board with that. I mean, that's far enough out where we could plan it. So
you had me at barbecue.
Pencil me in.
Nice. I like the sound of that. I'm thinking of like heading out like weekend after next. I want to go scout some stuff, some possibilities. I have some ideas germinating, and so I'm gonna go see a couple of things. It's only like 3 hour
All right. Love it.
drive.
Love it. All right, I'm gonna hit the chat real quick before we get to the remainder of the stories, and then we have to go into this Ape Coin piece. Prodigy saying Bitcoin at 100K on May 19th, 2024. I need to hear some fundamentals, Prodigy. What's the halving? Yeah. We betting on the halving here. Space Mo's like saying wait until Snowfro or Tyler or Beeple is the artist. Peppin will cook. And then Space Mo's like also asking what is the new tech abstraction that is allowing generative art on BTC. So I think we need Mark in here yesterday to talk about that.
Yeah. I will say there's this, so the one that I'm looking at more for generative art, it's this project you can check out. It's called New Bitcoin City. They are doing some pretty dope stuff. They did like an AI model, like living on the blockchain. It's pretty fucking trippy. Like you can upload a picture of a bored ape and it'll identify it, and it'll like change based on it or some stuff. It's nutty. They're doing some really cool stuff.
Okay, the remainder of the stories that I have, one just dropped 30 minutes ago. So while we were live, Polygon. I don't know if this is in response to the SEC and the all the FUD that they've been under, but they announced Polygon 2.0, a blueprint to build the ultimate value layer. So again, not knowing if this is a response in them kind of putting this out to combat that, or if this was already planned from the beginning. But it says Polygon 2.0 is a set of upgrades that radically reimagines almost every aspect of Polygon, from protocol architecture to tokenomics to governance. It is a roadmap for how Polygon will become the value layer, offering unlimited scalability and unified liquidity via ZK tech. They go on to talk about the releases that they'll have in the coming weeks, the future of the proof of stake chain. But yeah, big announcement. It feels like an announcement of an announcement here. Like nothing actually is happening today, but at least Polygon 2.0 is on its way. So
You know what I
good news for
like?
Polygon.
That they're not necessarily addressing the FUD directly. They're just saying we're fucking building. You know,
Yeah,
we're sticking to our lane and we're doing
Yeah.
stuff, and that's what you want to see. That's what you want to see in the projects that you follow, right? So good on them, man. Fuck yeah.
I think that's exactly right. I think what they're saying is like, y'all can go FUD and do whatever the hell you want. We're going to keep doing what we're doing.
I'm not going to get into this take here on NFT Live today. I'm super interested in it, though. NFT Statistics basically referenced it, talking about the guy, apparently a wallet that's trying to accumulate as much Ape and accumulate as much BAYC as possible. I'm going to look into this here in a second, but not touch on it today, but I'll drop that in the link, or I'll drop that link in the chat for you guys to check out. The only other piece that I had related to the news pieces is that Zenoko, so the Sherpa, if you will, of the new Genkai release for CyberKongs is starting to announce who gets their limit list approved. So they're going through a manual process essentially with this Genkai PFP collection drop, and they're doing it through an interesting route, right? They're coming out and talking about all of the people that are getting approved. So there's 10,000 applications that they have to work themselves through. And if I'm not mistaken, what am I going through here? Oh, Zenoko's own profile is putting these out. So as you can see, whale.swoosh, but there's other people that are now being approved on their limit list. So I thought it was a pretty innovative way to go about working out their whitelist here for the Genkai drop. So big shout out to CyberKongs. We've been on CyberKongs like crazy over the past month here after we had Henry the Grape on, but also around their Genkai release, man. You buying this, Biggie? You buying into the Genkai?
Man, I saw you post about it, and I am a fan of CyberKongs. I need to catch up on it because honestly, with the traveling and all that stuff, like I said, just let go of it, man. You can't
Wild
keep
Wild
up with
Web.
everything.
Check out the Henry the Grape Wild Wild Web episode.
Yeah,
Get
I'll have to catch up on that. And I know we have a couple of people in the chat that are big CyberKong people, right? Is it Choina or one of them? Prodigy, maybe?
Hash Rhymes is definitely the biggest.
Yeah.
Defender.
Hash Rhymes. Whitelist Hash Rhymes. Dude, no, I mean, that's a project that's like, I don't know. It's done some really innovative stuff, and for some reason, it's kind of like fallen out of people's initial view, right? For too long. So I'm happy that they're coming up with something new. Well, how big is the collection? Let me ask you that.
So
Curious about that.
Okay, so you have to multiply the OG Kongs by 2 and multiply by 1 the baby Kongs, because those are going to be free claims for those individuals. And then I believe it's just an open, like however many applications they get, I believe it's open.
Oh, wow. All right.
So
interesting. I'm assuming you both applied already.
Yep.
I look forward to seeing it on the crypto Twitter feed. You have been found worthy.
If you'd like to bypass the allow list, you can get that again. That baby, I think, is the right move, not financial advice.
Did you get one?
I like that. I like bypassing shit.
Did you? Did you do it? Did you pull the trigger?
Gifted over here flaming me every time I bring up any NFT.
Did he do it? I'm asking.
Did not. I still got time. We still got time.
What's the floor doing? Is it sitting around 1 point? What was it, like 1.3 4.
Yeah, I think NFT price floors have gone down over the weekend with all the FUD. So if we go,
Have you bought any JPEG Q in the past
1.3.
month and a half?
no, I consistently get flamed for it. I'm up here.
What he
not
gets
buying
flamed
those.
for is that he says he will, and then he doesn't.
Knock is at point.
Well, he's waiting for the floor to drop. GIF, you know, we got some big announcements this week that might cause, you know, some heavy FUD. You never know.
Where's the CyberKongz? Oh, CyberKongz babies. Okay, 1.3. So they really haven't moved from more of this information getting out that those are going to be free claims for the babies.
Yeah, most NFT floors have held pretty well so far over the last week or two. But yeah, I shared a whole bunch of other tweets and things. I don't know if you want to hit them or not, or just wait till the end. I don't know how much you want to dig into this Ape Coin controversy.
Just I mean, it's the topic on the thumbnail and the title, so definitely
when has that stopped us? When is that?
If you do have, so I just got like 5 links. Yeah, let's
the
drop
last
those
one
in the dashboard before
last
the
one
episode.
might be
if you want
the
to hit
last
on this
one.
many.
The last one might be interesting because it's about ordinals from Giancarlo, and so that's why I thought that one was worth bringing up. So these are apparently all the different things that people are speculating right now. I think this is a screenshot from Magic Eden of like all the different ways that they're like classifying ordinals. And he's kind of saying the quiet part out loud, which is like, do people really give a shit about all this stuff? Like people actually believe this stuff matters? Because I read through all these and most of them are kind of dumb. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like the reasons that they're trying to make certain inscriptions be more valuable than others, a lot of it feels very overhyped or nonsensical. So yeah, thoughts. Let us know.
I mean, is the market saying these are valuable? Is the market like people obviously can tell? Like they don't need like a piece.
Yeah,
of,
but they are focusing a lot on like how early the inscription was.
Yeah,
and apparently now they want to see if it was part of the pizza dude that sold. I mean, to me, that's. I don't know. That's not what I understand. Like there is value to certain like mint serial numbers, right? But in the end, I think first and foremost, it's the art or the project, right? And yeah, because I've seen some of these like first inscription art pieces, and it's not art, man. It's just fucking bullshit. I don't know who's gonna buy it.
of the sats,
you know?
Yeah, Choina calling them sattributes, which I hadn't heard that.
That's a good one.
But also saying who really cares. That's the thing is I'm sure that there's some very, very, very small minority of people that are going to actually care about this stuff. Yeah, here you go. Like maybe you'll find some weirdos who really do care about pizza sats, but more likely this will just result in a million new and creative ways for people to dump on you. That's kind of how I feel. Like I feel like a lot of this stuff is kind of nonsense. Yes, I get that it's cool to be able to use the blockchain to associate the history and the provenance of a sat. Like that's a cool thing that you can do with the Bitcoin. And that's what this is. It's like basically drawing lines between like this inscription and this, you know, the pizza day or Satoshi's first transaction. It's like, it's cool that you can do that. And so some people will really value that. I just think that most people aren't going to give a shit. I don't think that you're going to like hype this up to be worth so much money. Yeah. And then there's going to be like a real market of people that are willing to, you know, buy that off of you at some crazy value.
Let me put it on my Danvas and, you know, come on now.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
The market clearly cares about, like we were talking about, early sats, you know? So like clearly there's some care in the market.
Some
showing
people
us
do.
That. Yeah,
some people do.
But how far they take it, to Choina's point, saying, but palindromes, like you're taking that narrative and you're taking it too far, which always happens. Let's be honest.
But for example, I've seen like, I mean, and again, maybe I'm wrong. I've kept very surface level information regarding ordinals right now, right? But from when it started, like you said, from when we had Mark on the show to now and how it's blown up. And while I was gone, I got to see a bunch of collections come in and be like, this is the native ordinal collection. Like, this is the one that's like the gods of the space. And I have yet to see one that really takes hold. Like, to me, I mean, can we, possibly see eventually one that does have that gravitas, that really has all of it going together, the founder, the project, and art? When that thing comes, will it really matter what ordinal number those things are minted at? I think can completely overtake all these other, what do you call them, attributes.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, but I do think that there's a bigger chance of like projects that were in earlier inscriptions will probably have a better chance of rising to the top, because the new, or the early being early thing, we know that people do value that. The one project that I've seen a lot of people fucking with is the Bitcoin frogs. That actually looks like an original IP, like an original project, and they're like pixelated frogs.
Because I mean,
that's the only one I've seen that's really.
If you look at like the provenance argument, when you look at Ethereum, right? There's autoglyphs, there's punks, and then there's mooncats, right? And there's fucking, what was the other one? Crypto kitties.
They had their time.
Like, some of those things, they had their moment, but eventually they go away. Like
Moonbirds came back.
You do have to have
cats.
Yeah, okay, come on, cute.
They did. Yeah. Crypto kitties didn't come back. Moon-cats definitely came back and were heavily
ever so slightly. We'll see how that argument ages as we go again. But like, when you talk punks, when you talk autoglyphs, there's a real thesis behind that, right? There's like people either from the programming side or from the artistic side, from the collector side, they can argue a solid case for why those projects, value is also accrued by the very fact of their provenance, right? You come to me with a fucking dot that's like one of the first ordinals that got inscribed, I'm gonna have a really hard time fucking wanting to pay for that. I don't give a shit what you tell me, like, I need to have like, show me an autoglyph and I'll be like, all right, it was one of the first. But black dot, kill me.
All right. All right, we need Mark on here stat. So we'll get him on our favorite person in the entire world, Tom Emmer, who we reference multiple times on this show over the past year, is saying it's time to restore sanity to the SEC. Fire Gary Gensler. So
let's go.
This is into a broader conversation, because it looks like, based on, Fox News obviously is right leaning, so maybe there are more senators or House reps that are across the aisle, but it's saying House Republicans introduced bill to remove SEC chair. This is the overarching convo that I don't want to dive into here and turn this into an Alex Jones podcast, but it feels like. And there, I think the Winklevoss twins came out and said, like, this is going to hurt the Democratic nomination and the Democratic fight for even president. That the crypto folks are primarily going to be voting Republican, and it's pushing more people towards that way. I'm not even going to start to mention the overall feeling in the country. So I will take you up on that, Marty. So we're not getting a Biden in 2024. I can guarantee you that. So I agree with you on that one, brother.
Yeah, Marty, your hung jokes are amazing. I will say this about Marty. Is that he may not be wrong that I end up voting Republican, because this could be the first time in a while. And again, I'm independent. I've been leaning more Democratic the last couple of presidential cycles for whatever reasons. But I'm independent. I go where I think I should go. And I don't know, man. I'm a single issue voter right now. And who knows? Maybe I'll vote Republican this time. It would be hard to get me to vote for Trump. I'm not gonna lie. I hope that they have more sense than to try and run Trump again. But
it's not.
I'm curious, Giff.
for whatever reason, Trump runs outside of his own kind of party.
I don't know, man. It's a bad situation that they've cooked up.
Marty, to answer your question, yes, I still hold my cock punches. And I'm very curious, Giff, do you?
Yeah, because it's worth like
we're
one tenth
selling.
or one ninth of what it's worth of what I bought it for.
Yeah, it's not
Or no,
an L
it's
until you
worth
sell.
like it's worth like 1/15 of what I bought it for. I bought it at the very top. I literally on this show was like, hey, it'll be funny, for the shits and gigs. The things that I do for this fucking show.
Come
Jesus
on.
Christ.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Don't put your bad investment strategies on this show. Don't do it to NFT Live.
Don't listen to this guy. Smash the like for everything that I've put on the line. My literal livelihood, my ability to eat. I can't even feed myself anymore.
I just want to make sure the narrative would be the same.
Your ability to take punches in the cock will eventually be rewarded.
I just want to make sure the narrative would be the same if it was the other way around. What if you just 100x'd on everything? Would you be saying, I do this for you guys, I do it for the show? Would you give the show the credit if you were 100x up?
It wouldn't make sense to say it at that point. The point is, I'm down bad right now, fam, but I keep showing up and doing it for your education and entertainment value. Hopefully you can put a like on the episode. It's the least that you could do. It's all we ask. We don't ask much. We keep showing up. Smash the like.
All right. We are going to get into the big story of the day. Ape Coin Special Counsel coming under FUD. The backdrop of this and the context here is that the Special Counsel election period is at the end of this month. And so basically when the Ape Coin DAO first launched, there were people that were in charge of moving it forward. Those people got quickly removed and replaced with high-level community members, you would call them, like a Yatsu and a couple of these others that now represent the Special Counsel. Okay, so ApeCoin funds 25% of their salary. The others is in USD. I don't know if the treasury is then selling ApeCoin to make up for that 75%, but their salaries are to a person, I want to make sure I have the graphic up, $20,000 a month. So you can see 5 people, including Yatsu and Alexis Ohanian, G, Gary, or Jerry, and Vera. The other one that's coming under fire here, so curiously, stewards, facilitators, secretary have not come under fire. But Webslinger is coming under fire. I was on the Nifty Portal show this morning. I tuned in for about 10 minutes, and they were in the hot topic of talking about Webslinger, which is the administrator, at $75,000 a month.
What?
So this is the entity that's in charge of compliance, finance, legal, operations, and treasury. And so in and of itself, that's not a problem, and nor is the $20,000 a month per person. The problem is the vague nature at which all of this has kind of happened. So Webslinger won what you would probably call a nomination, like a proposal was passed through to have these folks win. And in my 10 minutes, 15 minutes on the Nifty Portal, they were going after Webslinger because essentially that company was propped up in 2021. There's no previous experience that they show that could lead them to have this role. Okay, so I've given you most of the context that I have. There's a bunch of Twitter threads that are going off right now, including the Special Counsel defending themselves against the people saying you're getting paid too much. What is actually going on here? And ApeCoin price down to about 220, 218 the last time I checked. So a lot of this has to do with it being a bear market. ApeCoin got crushed with this SEC and Coinbase news, down 20, 30% on that day alone, along with pretty much every other altcoin. That's where we sit right now. Community sentiment at an all-time low from this ApeCoin DAO situation. And now people are saying, what the hell are we spending all of this money on? And that's where we sit today.
So
community sentiment.
If I'm trying to look at like the positive side here, okay, one thing, Q, that you brought up is that like this is all happening kind of in real time out in the public. Like there is quite a bit of transparency just by nature of everybody having access to this sort of information we're sharing and being able to have these conversations, people getting on Twitter and talking about it. So it's like, it is cool and interesting to see the way that DAOs are actually functioning and developing, and these experiments of DAOs are developing in real time, and we're learning constantly. So that's one thing, is that, there's a lot of transparency happening right now, at least around this stuff. The other thing is that it does, paying at that level, you're basically paying the same salary. I don't know if salary is the right word, but you're paying the same amount that like the highest end board positions in the world get. Like if you're on the board of like a top industrial developer or something like that, they're going to pay you about $250,000 a year to sit on that board. And that's basically, these people are getting paid $250,000 a year. I think they're limited to like 6 months or something like that. But the equivalent of what they're getting paid is $250,000 a year. And so what that enables you to do, one, is attract top talent, right? So it's like, okay, that's good, because you can get people like Yatsu, who may or may not otherwise want to put time and energy into this thing. And you set a really, really high bar and standard and a precedent for like, yo, these are really legit seats. Like, this isn't some bullshit little game we're over here playing with our shitty tokens. It's like, no, we're compensating our council like a top board of a global, company. So it's like, I do think there's something to that, where it's like you are putting NFTs, you're putting Yuga Labs in the conversation with like one of the top boards of a top company, right? The other side of this is like, does it actually make sense? Right? Like based upon the work and how much clarity, the KPIs, the results, all of that, should they be spending $1 million on, 4 seats or 5 seats, $1 million a year, basically? Can you actually justify this amount of spend?
That's the justification piece. So Biggie, I want you to hop in, but that is basically what the argument around this situation has become. It's saying, okay, maybe this is the amount we want to spend for all the reasons you mentioned, but tell us what you're doing. Like that, and that essentially is the root of the argument. It's like, okay, I'm fine paying you this, but let's see some legitimate things that are happening on paper that we can all kind of visualize. But go ahead, Biggie.
No, man, I mean, I agree. Requesting a certain level of accountability or transparency, whatever you want to call it, is fair. I do notice that it's a very common thread that DAOs, successful DAOs, eventually end up, banging their heads against, right? And especially, like you said, Q, when people are down, when the market is down, I don't know what it is. People just get super sensitive. Obviously they get super emotional. And I mean, you have people like sending death threats to artists that dropped an open edition because the open edition didn't pump, right? 100x or whatever. So when you're looking at something like the Ape DAO and which is from a very successful project, and these amounts getting paid to these people, I mean, it makes sense that some people want to be like, hey, what the hell is getting done? I want to know, right? And it's fair. It's just a slippery slope, I think, too, because this whole clamoring for transparency sometimes can come back and bite you in the ass, where you end up just micromanaging people's endless requests, because not everybody's always going to be satisfied, right? So there does need to be a limit. And also, like, there's some stuff that maybe you're not in a position to at the moment divulge, right? Whether for legal reasons or because you want to keep it under wraps, right? And so, it's one of those social dynamics that people are still trying to massage. And I mean, man, just looking at some of the people on the top board, I mean, they're legit, right? Like you said, like I don't think they'd be fucking about. So I don't know what exactly has it been stated, what it is exactly that they want. I mean, I get it. They want to see where what's getting done, but like, if anybody asks specifics, like whether it's like development of something or delivery of a certain product,
well,
like
that's
what
the
those
issue, is that
KPI
it's
requests
not,
are.
yeah, it's
Because
not
that's the
clear.
problem. Like, like in the end, it's like, something like Yatsui is like, dude, like I'm running a fucking billion-dollar company and like advising all these other things. Like, how much time are you expecting me to take on this project particularly?
That's the other
And is it
piece.
going to be enough to satisfy you, right? Because my insight is valuable. Like one thing that I do or that I advise on, maybe I don't speak for like the first 5 months, but on the 6th month, there's something that becomes immensely valuable to the project and, redeems me as being, worthy of being here and of that payroll. So I don't know. Like the one thing I do think is like, you got to be careful with these masses when they start coming at you with the whole, we want transparency. We want you to tell us exactly what you're doing. Because I mean, if you look at like how publicly traded companies work, it's like they do divulge, where the money's going, what they do, but they do it quarterly and to a certain degree of limits. They're not there on a fucking hotline to take your call every single time some of these fuckers decide they want some clarity, right? Because their bags are down or just want somebody to yell at, so I don't know.
Yeah, and that's a fair point. And I do think that if we were in a different market, this may or may not be as big of a deal. But I have to say, it is hard for me in my head to justify what is a very, very part-time consulting position to $250,000 a year, $20,000 a month salary. Like it's hard for me to make that leap. And again, I understand that top boards and like, a director of a top company gets that, but a director, like Yatsu was pointing to directors, remuneration. Those people are working full-time jobs. That's like, if you're a director, if you're a director at a company, you're not doing 10 other jobs, or you're not running your own business outside of that. Like that is your livelihood. That's why you're getting paid that much, because you're responsible for running that fucking company and directing that company every single day. You are showing up at that office and you are always on the phone. Like these people this is a very part-time position for someone like a Yatsu.
Yeah, it definitely is. But to be honest, I think for some guy like Yacht, you might be getting fair value. Now, the whole question is might. we need to clarify that. And that's the situation. Like he's implemented some of, I don't want to get into what he's done. I'm not going to put words in his mouth on what he's done for Ape Coin. I will say I've jumped into the Ape Coin DAO Discord, and I've talked with Sasha here, who is actually running for special counsel. But we've had conversations on like this topic, and I've asked a couple questions. One specifically around this, which he has seemed to drop a thread on, is like, where is the definition of what the special counsel is doing? Well, it's right here. Ape 1, which is the first proposal to put the original group into the administrator position, not the special counsel, that came afterwards, but the original group was to administer DAO proposals and serve the vision of the community. The first half means the special counsel reviews proposals for legal and regulatory risk, red flags, and general alignment with the mission of the DAO. The second is, I think, what's becoming more vague and needs some clarity. The second part, to serve the vision of the community, is more open to interpretation. So you can see, obviously, Yacht is well connected. He's sitting there with, obviously, the Winklevosters. I mean, that's a picture. I don't want to like denote what he's doing.
The Winklevi.
And Alexis Ohanian is another who has been on this board. I would say, again, depending on what they've actually done, those two individuals are extremely well connected and like could push Ape Coin DAO and Ape Coin into a position where we could be successful, even at those prices. So, there's a lot of different takes happening around. This was the first Ape proposal. 98.5% in favor. So there's a bunch of different conversations to have around this. Like who was the major voter for this? How did this get passed through? And all this stuff is what's being discussed in the community right now. All the problems.
Curious, but when that got passed through, were we in a bull market? Was it good times?
I don't think so.
Curious.
It was better times, but I don't think it was good times. I think it was around the time ApeCoin launched. So you're thinking.
Okay, so there was a lot of anticipation. People were feeling good. They were, I mean,
I think current market. current market is definitely weighing in on this right now. Uh, it's interesting. We'll follow it. Again, I think just seeing how these big DAOs that are kind of leading the charge are operating and pivoting and learning, I think is just a fascinating conversation to continue to follow. I think it'll be interesting again to see what happens with meme. If Memecoin also becomes a really big NFT associated coin, are they going to have similar challenges? I don't know.
I love the takes from the chat here. Quantum Variant, first of all, coming through and saying the Nifty Portal Show found a legit company behind Web Slingers towards the end of the show. So thank you for that info. Also, Quantum Variant saying, I think it's great to see smart people getting paid fairly. Ape Coin plus Yuga is a $5 to $8 billion company. Squash is saying there was a 6 to 7 hour Twitter Spaces on it last night. Biggie with lots of people involved. So going to dig in this week to see what their positions, arguments, and reasonings are. And Marty's asking, what does Alexis Ohanian need 250K for in a year? That's probably fair. All to say, like, there have been more people getting into the Discord. Here we see Vulcan tweeting about the activity around the DAO has been picking up, at least the conversation. So maybe it leads to some more activity there. Bored Ape G as well, who's on the special counsel, came out to try to defend himself as well. So yes, all of these things happening at once. The one positive about this is it's good to see this activity happening rather than not. I don't want to oversimplify, but the fact that we can watch this stuff is going to mean DAOs are going to get better from this in the future.
Yeah, it's curious to me where Yuga fits into this conversation too. You know,
well, so they are definitely not going to comment at all.
They're just going to stay out of it, huh?
I would almost guarantee it based on the current regulatory environment. Like they're just like, that's not part of us. That's run by somebody else.
It's fascinating. It is a decentralized autonomous organization. So it's just like, figure it out.
Talk to the people.
Yeah, that's wild.
Gif, I think we're getting some feedback from your mic real quick. Let's see if
check 1 2.
Here, try to mute real quick. Maybe that's not me. Maybe that's not you.
Might be Biggie.
No, I got no static.
Jack Side is saying, interesting that guys like Peter Diamondis and Salim Ismail are talking about Yuga as a top example of what they call exo organizations, along with orgs like Tesla, Uber, etc. That's why these guys that salary is, in my opinion, okay to exist. Again, it just needs to be made public what these individuals are doing, because I do think like being that big of an entity, that's fine when it comes to a salary, but you hate to get in this defensive mindset when it's in a bear market. But companies typically like to cut the fat, in bear markets, and they typically try to overspend in a bull market. Well, it feels like a DAO has to do a little bit of that same stuff.
Survive by whatever means necessary.
All right, you guys breaking through the crypto ceiling, perhaps. That's a great way to go out if we're hosting a Yuga Lab show at the end of this episode. But hopefully we can see some developments. If you are interested in this stuff, I would get into the Ape Coin DAO. I would vote on the upcoming special council elections that are happening at the end of the month. These are really cool, tangible things you can get involved in to say like, hey, I actually want to see Ape Coin go forward and DAOs go forward and improve and evolve. So,
yeah,
I think that's going to be it. It's going to be it for the episode today. Biggie Poppins joined us after his 3-month extravaganza.
It was beautiful.
Gallivanting.
There are a bunch of other tweets and things if you want to hit them. There's one really ridiculous.
I really don't.
This could be a silly one to go out with. It's a fun video.
What do you got?
I don't know.
Oh, son of damn.
Give it a shot.
Son of day, man.
Which one are you talking about?
So I just reposted it, the last one at the bottom.
Oh my Jesus. All right.
Oh, dude.
Ponzi schemes, hucksters, fraudsters, scam artists, Ponzi schemes, hucksters, fraudsters, scam artists, Ponzi.
Lord.
I'm gonna keep playing this. We need.
Ponzi schemes.
This is like a legit song.
Yeah, yeah.
I need takes. Need to break this up. Biggie, if you're not following what I'm doing here, we got hit with the copyright strike and banned momentarily, so I can't play this all the way through.
But you think they do that to us on this?
I don't care to try.
That's fair. We got to be careful.
But it already happened?
Yeah, it did. And then they came back and said, "Hey, we're going to remove your strike."
It was, but that was because we were showing the Apple WWDC live, and that was like a big YouTube partner. Like, I think that they were being. I think that they were just being super strict with the Apple thing because that was like a live YouTube stream event going on, and it's like a super high profile one. I'd be surprised if we ever got a takedown notice for that. But either way, that was like a fun one. And basically what he's saying is like, you know, you're painting this whole space as it's just hucksters and fraudsters. And it's like, yeah, there is that, but also it's much bigger, dude. So I don't know. Something fun.
Just in case he's saying, welcome back, Biggie. Left Action House, good show,
Thank
boys.
you.
We appreciate y'all tuning in all the way to the end. Leave a like if you haven't already. We will be back tomorrow. GM Web 3. We got Wild Wild Web dropping with Harry Lou from Forge Research. And then we will be on NFT Live at 1 p.m. Eastern. Our Vibe, our tribe.
OVOT. Love seeing you guys.